Okay, I'm on a roll here making videos, so I thought, pretend like I'm your local newscaster and I come on TV, the 6 o'clock news, and I go, oh, today the war has ended. We've decided to switch to water-based fuels. So we don't need a war. We're going to save a lot of money we could spend here at home taking care of the citizens that are paying that bill, trillions of dollars. And then we could say, and the air will be cleaner too, since Mills down in Converse, Louisiana is coming out with a pollution-free engine that puts oxygen back in the air. Oil companies would probably be a little upset. But there's a lot of work to be done here, people, and what if we looked on the news and they said, and Honda's coming out with a 1,000 horsepower Civic that can cruise at 200 miles an hour. We're going to need better roads. We're going to need a lot of new roads here for these cars to travel on. Better tires. We're going to have safer vehicles to ride in at 200 miles an hour. So, okay. But anyway, I'm just saying what we could be talking about on TV. And, that we're not here and now. And this is the world's largest pollution-free engine research laboratory. Seems to me, once you start going, wow, this is a pollution-free fuel we can make out of water, it hasn't been easy, but it ought to be easy. Is one thing follows the other. And but here's the deal. We know that hydrogen peroxide, you can make it out of water, put oxygen in the air, it's 3 times powerful as gasoline. Here's the big question here, though, is what's the most efficient way to run an engine on this stuff? And it's completely different. Where gasoline engines, you set it off with a spark plug. Hydrogen peroxide is ignited by touching certain kinds of metal. It's what you call catalytic ignition. On the rockets, as it passes through screens on one side, it comes out the other side 5,000 times larger as superheated steam and oxygen gas. Well, you could figure out how to run any kind of engine on that. The thing is, here it's my job to figure out the most efficient way to run an engine on that. And there's a lot of stuff you never would think of till you really start getting into it. Materials, construction. In my Society Automotive Engineers paper, I list 30 kinds of engines. There's everything from jet engines to piston engines. GE patented a piston engine, hydrogen peroxide piston engine, back in 1958. Any car company could be doing that. There's some problems with it. One of the very small source of pollution is oil in the crankcase getting by the piston rings and into the combustion process. So you got to figure out, if you got a piston engine, how you're going to support the reciprocating assembly with no oil. So you can make everything out of plastic, but I haven't found the plastic yet that can take this kind of heat and pressure, and it's okay. But there's also the Wankel. People think the Wankel's a rotary, but it's not. That's just a marketing name by Mazda. It's really a trochoid rhomboid engine. A triangular-shaped rotor wobbles around inside of a figure-8 shaped housing. It's not a true rotary. A jet is a true rotary turbine. It spins about its axis, but it's unconfined. A lot of jets you can see right through them, so that loses efficiency. And here's the other thing: hydrogen peroxide is rocket fuel, so it's made to go where there's no air in outer space. Well, it bears its own oxygen is the technical thing here. So it doesn't need air. So we can eliminate the 3 parasitic cycles of air-breathing engines. Gasoline needs air because it needs oxygen for combustion. That's the heart of the matter there, is the oxygen from the air being combined with carbon during the combustion process is what forms CO2 and CO. Some of the fuel doesn't get burned. You have unburned hydrocarbons, HCs. Then you have NOx, that's from nitrogen in the air. It's an inert gas, but the heat and pressure of the combustion process causes it to form NOx, oxides of nitrogen, a little tiny bit compared to the 20 pounds of CO2 that comes from, and that's basically 20 pounds of oxygen mixing with 5.5 pounds of carbon from gasoline, and then you have about a pound of hydrogen in there, and then there's 100 pounds of air and 6.5 pounds to a gallon of gasoline. So, but the air doesn't add anything to the power. It only enables combustion, the oxygen. But since hydrogen peroxide has oxygen in it, it's really the fuel, and gasoline's really the fuel, so the air doesn't add anything to it. It's 80% nitrogen. It's not a fuel, it's just an oxidizer for the fuel to combust. So, out of that 100 pounds of air and 6.5 pounds of gasoline, it'll form more than a gallon of water, whereas a gallon of hydrogen peroxide, 5 pounds of it goes to oxygen gas, but about 6.5 pounds of it goes to water. So that hydrogen peroxide can actually produce less water per gallon than gasoline because of the amount of air that gasoline engines process. But that doesn't mean that they're more powerful. I first caught onto this, a guy holding a rocket engine like a baby. It weighed 57 pounds, it made 3,000 horsepower, no moving parts. Well, my theory is the simpler stuff gets, the more efficient it is. So cars are still the same. Underneath all that junk that you see on there, all those smog control devices, don't do anything for the car. Your catalytic converter burns gas downstream from the engine. How does that improve the efficiency of the engine? It doesn't. Even if it plugs up and causes back pressure to the engine, that reduces engine efficiency. So, we need to think different here, guys, but that's my job, is find the most efficient way to run an engine on hydrogen peroxide, and then there's a lot of things that go with it. It's not enough to have an engine. You're going to have fuel injection, you're going to have throttle valves, you're going to have fuel tank, you're going to have, but at least hydrogen peroxide is non-flammable, so it's a lot safer going in. But there's a lot of things that go with it, and in my mind, this needs to be safer, cleaner, cheaper. That's what better is. So I'm working on it here, guys. I may not have everything, but if I can get somebody like Honda, they can put this on the road. I think I can put it on the road, but they have more power than me in the sales market or whatever. So advertising, stuff like that too, just publicity. But with the government, the government regulations really don't bother me. I could fly below that. I mean, you can have up to 400 pounds of high-test hydrogen peroxide legally. So okay, that's enough for me. And even a filling station, I don't see them needing more than 400 pounds of, to keep, because you can make it right on the spot. So, you just make it on demand as you go. So, I think this is the stuff, and if you can name a cleaner fuel or a more powerful fuel, there's hydrogen, but that's a scam. That's just the government promoting something instead of promoting the right thing. So keep watching, and maybe I'll be able to tell you one day about my engine. I'd sure like to. So and I can tell Honda a little bit, but part of the deal is I want to file a patent and I'm going to assign the rights to Honda or whoever, and then we'll know. I'm a little nervous about filing my own patent. Big companies run over independent patent people, so and the government lets them. So thanks for watching. All these things have a lot of difficulties, but somehow I think I can find my way through it. So keep watching, we'll see.